All right, let's dive right into a question we see all the time. Can you actually open a US bank account with just a tax ID number without a social security number? The answer is, well, it's yes. And the reason why involves this really fascinating, unexpected link between tax law and national security. So let's get into it. For a lot of people, maybe you're a student, an investor, or an immigrant, this isn't just some random question. Getting a bank account is absolutely essential for living and working in the United States. But without that social security number, that SSN, it can feel like you've hit a brick wall. But what if I told you the key to opening that door has been hiding in plain sight?
And that key, the thing that unlocks this whole process, is a 9-digit number that honestly, most people have probably never even heard of, the ITIN. Understanding what it is, and just as important, what it isn't, is really the first big step here.
So what in the world is an ITIN? Well, the official name is Individual Taxpayer Identification Number, and it comes directly from the IRS. It was created way back in '96 for one and only one reason: to make sure people who can't get a social security number can still file their taxes and follow US tax law. That's it. Its whole job is tax processing.
And this is a super important point, so let's be really clear. An ITN is not a work permit. It doesn't mean you get social security benefits. It does not change your immigration status one bit. It's a totally separate system for a totally separate purpose. And hey, here's a fun fact. The easiest way to tell the difference: an ITN always starts with the number 9, and SSN never does.
Okay, so if the ITIN is just for taxes, how on earth did it become this backdoor key to opening a bank account? Well, the answer is wild. It's found where two completely different US laws just happen to collide.
The first law is pretty straightforward, the US tax code. Basically, it says that if you earn money in the US, you've got to pay taxes on it, no matter what your immigration status is. This is the whole reason the IRS had to create the ITIN system to begin with, to give millions of people a way to actually follow the law. Now, the second piece of this puzzle came along years later and from a totally different universe: national security. Right after 9/11, Congress passed the USA Patriot Act. And buried inside that massive law was a rule that forced banks to get really strict about verifying the identity of every single person who opens an account. And here it is. This is the moment where everything connects. When the government was writing the fine print for those new bank ID rules, they had to list what kind of IDs were acceptable for non-US citizens. And right there on the list, along with things like a passport, they included an IRS-issued Taxpayer Identification Number. Yep, the ITIN. And just like that, a national security law unintentionally blew open a door to the banking system. But, just because something is legally possible doesn't make it easy. In fact, this strange legal connection created its own massive headache, a classic chicken and egg problem.
Just think about how frustrating this is. You walk into a bank, they look at the Patriot Act rules and say, sorry, you need an ITIN to open an account. So you go to the IRS. But the IRS usually says, to get an ITIN, you have to file a tax return. The catch? One of the few exceptions is if you need an ITIN for, wait for it, an interest-bearing bank account. So which one are you supposed to get first? It's a total paradox.
And look, this isn't just a small inconvenience. As this quote points out, it is a genuine logistical conundrum that has left both individuals and the banks trying to help them totally stuck. So, how do you solve an impossible puzzle like this? You have to find a loophole.
And the secret is buried right here, in the fine print of this form, the official IRS Form W-7. This is what you use to apply for an I-10. And while most people just attach a tax return, the real power, the solution to our puzzle, is hidden in the list of exceptions.
Okay, so we know the solution is hiding on this form, but how do you actually do it? What are the practical, real-world steps to get this done?
The answer is something officially called the bank letter exception. It's a specific process the IRS created that lets you get an ITN just for opening an interest-bearing account
without having to file a tax return at the same time. This is the key. And the process itself is actually pretty straightforward. Step 1, and this is the most important part. You have to find a bank or a credit union that actually knows about this process, because a lot of them don't. Once you do, they will give you an official letter. You take that letter, attach it to your Form W-7 application, send it to the IRS, and boom, they accept it as a valid reason and send you your ITIN. That's the loophole.
So if you're gonna go for it, you'll need to get your paperwork in order. You're definitely gonna need a valid passport, because that proves who you are and your foreign status all in one. You'll also need some proof of address, the filled out Form W-7 itself, and of course that golden ticket, the official letter from the bank.
So let's say you did it. You navigated the puzzle, you got the letter, and you open an account. That is a huge win. But, and this is a big but, it's really important to understand what an ITIN can't do for your financial life in America.
This is usually the very next question people ask. You know, a bank account is often the first rung on the ladder to building credit. But when you're using an ITIN, it is not that simple at all. And here's the catch. Even though you might get a credit card or a small loan with your ITIN, there's absolutely no guarantee that the bank is going to report your good payment history to the big 3 credit bureaus. You know, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. The whole credit reporting system was built around social security numbers, so reporting for ITINs is really spotty. It can make building a solid US credit file incredibly difficult. So let's just hammer this home one more time because it's so important. Despite its nifty use for banking, the legal lines around an ITIN are crystal clear. It does not authorize you to work, it does not make you eligible for Social Security, it doesn't qualify you for certain tax credits, and it has absolutely zero impact on your immigration status. At the end of the day, it is, and always has been, just a tax number.
So when you step back and look at this whole thing, what you see is that the ITIN has kind of developed this weird dual identity inside the US financial system.
It's pretty amazing, really. Through this chain of completely unintended consequences, a number that was created for one boring reason, to help the IRS do its job, has morphed into something else entirely. It's become this essential key for financial inclusion, giving millions of people access to the basic, safe banking services they need to be part of the US economy.
And that kind of leaves us with one big final thought. This whole evolution of the ITN is a perfect case study in how systems adapt and change in ways nobody ever planned. But does this expanded, unofficial role ultimately create more opportunity by bringing more people into the formal financial system? Or does it just add another layer of complexity to a system that's already juggling the immense challenges of security, taxation, and immigration? That's the big question that remains.